Okay, sorry for the lack of a stream last night. I needed to take last night to kind of de-stress. Um, so news kind of regarding the channel. This probably won't affect YouTube's end or anything, but I quit my IRL job last night. The reason being that the 2 nights ago, actually, on Friday, we had a really rough day in general. And I was not I was what is for those that don't know what I mean when I say overtasked. I mean that I was assigned more than 8 hours. My when I was assigned more work or a higher workload than the hours I was scheduled to work. So I was scheduled to work 8 hours, which normal. However, towards the end of the 8 hours, palletizing. I was palletizing freight, and both of my supervisors saw that it was not going to be possible for me to finish completing my work before the 8 hours was up, which I wasn't working slowly or anything. And long story short, they spent 2 days digging up any kind of reason they could to try to write me up, and finally found the slightest technicality that because the back room wasn't quote unquote 100% cleared, they tried to write me up on that, despite the fact that if you look, both of my supervisors were looking directly at me as I was stacking the two pallets that got left. Both pallets, by the way, which were sorted and ready to go to the floor, they just needed to be pulled to the floor, and the reason I couldn't do it is because it would have put me into overtime, and I wasn't allowed to get overtime. Supervisors, on the other hand, are allowed to get overtime. This is the company's policy wording, not mine. So I don't know how it's possible that I can get written up for that, but I could have maybe followed the open door process and gotten it quashed. Under normal circumstances, I would have been able to follow the open door process and get the write up quashed. However, because I didn't have any write ups still or on my record, because it's been 3 or 4 years since the last time I had any kind of write up at the company. The write-up went into the system automatically as what was considered a verbal write-up. So it's one of those ones where where the company has this bullshit, stupid policy where they can just put a write-up in the system and they don't even have to make the employee acknowledge it. They don't even have to get the employee's signature to acknowledge the write up. They can just put it in there and it's just in there. So at that point I walked out because if I'm damned if I stay over, I'm gonna get written up if I stay over and get overtime, but I'm also gonna get written up if I don't stay over and get overtime. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. So fuck it. I left. 9 years. I was with the company for 9 years, and it was definitely 9 years too long because at the my last raise was like less than 30 cents. And I've been looking in the job market, and like most of the starting wages I'm seeing in the job market for entry level positions with no prior experience are $15 an hour. I was making 14.28 with 9 years. So yeah, I'm not dealing with that shit anymore. Like the more I like, and the funny thing is, the more I like think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I should have left this fucking company a long time ago. The main reason I didn't is because obviously I have my stream schedule kind of set, and I hated the idea of having to move it around along with moving my sleep schedule around and basically changing up my entire life so that I can have a paying job that provides insurance as well as, allows me to pay any bills I might incur, and also pay for video games that I might want to play for stream, or pay for anything really that I might need for obviously. Um but yeah, so streams for a little while, for the next little while, maybe a little touch and go. I'm gonna try to mostly keep the same schedule for now. Things will definitely flip. Well, will most likely flip to more daytime hours, which I guess is good for viewership, but at least on the stream side. But for those who are, my late night lurkers, I do apologize that I am being forced to basically abandon you. Obviously, there will still be stuff posted on YouTube. There will still be stuff posted, or there will still be VODs uploaded to Twitch for those that can't wait on that. And so nothing. Hopefully, nothing should really change in regards to that. It's just going to be a matter of what time I actually stream will change. So that means VODs that like the morning people or day people that might watch, they might shift. They may suddenly start seeing things, live, or seeing the games live instead of the night shift. The current job I have been spending time working on like my resume, putting references down and putting in applications and that such. But yeah, so streams are gonna be a little touch and go for a while, especially once I do find another job. Because I may end up going back to that same company if I am for some reason unable to find a different employment elsewhere for similar rate. I sincerely doubt that will be the case because I have 9 years of experience behind me now of uh um but I will certainly I do plan on continuing with content creation, and I was tempted to start streaming earlier today because holy crap, I got really, really bored by about like 9 p.m. Uh, but I was not able to, but I chose not to do that quite yet. I'm gonna probably just stick with the normal stream schedule for now until something else, until I do get something else. Then once I transition into that job, I will I'll switch my my stream schedule to fit the hours for that, which the jobs I'm hoping for now are going to be like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time. So that will be fantastic because, you know, I get home at 5 p.m. I can stream for 4 or 5 hours, go to bed at, go to bed at from 11 to like 7, and just overall be in a much better situation instead of working from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. and going to bed at not midnight, at 4 a.m. and getting up at like 1 and having to rush to my crappy IRL job that I had been burnt out on for several years. Not only had I been burnt out on, I'm certain I have lingering nerve damage because this isn't something I've gone into on stream, but we used to have one of the unloading things we had, conveyors we had, was supposed to be automatic, and it was designed to only roll in one direction. However, that thing broke within a couple of months, or that automatic one broke within a couple of months of us getting it, and it got to the point that we had to resort to pushing that machine by hand. And long story short, over the 3+ years that we had that broken machine that our upper management refused to fix, eventually it got to the point that, now with my left arm, if I lift my left arm above my head or move it in like a certain way, it feels like intense amount. I get like intense amounts of pain. There's also whenever we would unload the truck, we would have one person what we call throwing the truck, which is basically taking a sack of freight off of the truck, loading it onto the conveyor. But I did that at one point for a straight up year straight. Like I'm not even embellishing there. It was at least a year straight where every single truck I ended up throwing it. Long story short, I now also have at one point I felt and heard my back pop really badly, and I have basically never been able to move at the same rate since then. It's almost like I'm fighting partial paralysis. Well, there was my back popping just there. You may have heard it, and you may not have. I think I saw the mic peak. But anyway, I just wanted to cover that before we get into the game, just so people can. And I do kind of regret quitting when I did. However, because what I should have done, what I probably really should have done is I should have gone to a doctor and gotten medically examined so that I could get my shoulder checked out and my back checked out. Because they would have been liable for a long-term injury such as that. But also, the problem with that is acknowledging the write-up is basically admitting or accepting blame for it's admitting fault, essentially. It's an admission of that, that, hey, yeah, it's basically the way the company views that particular company views accepting a write-up is, hey, yeah, I'm agreeing to basically acknowledge that I am at fault for the situation. And obviously, if I wasn't at fault for the situation, I'm not gonna accept blame for it. It isn't my fault that I was given basically that I was given, well, yeah, it probably was about 10 hours worth of work in an 8-hour shift. And they have, like, this isn't even me boasting. This is gonna sound like I'm boasting, but it's really not. They've actually lost literally their best worker, and everyone on the crew kind of knew that. When I walked out, the manager was writing me up was actually trying to convince me to not just quit. And I'm like, why would I stick around and accept blame for... why would I stick around and accept blame for this situation? Especially when they were coaching me on... Coaching is what they call me, or call the write-up process. It was Walmart for those in the know of that. And now I guess everyone knows. But yeah, the write-up was literally like the biggest technicality that you could come up with, and it was literally just, there were brake packs left in the steel, and the brake pads that were left in the steel weren't even being processed, or were for departments that weren't even being worked on the night in question. And we also had a shortage of pallets. So I actually did not have the resources to palletize those brake pads that got left in the steel as well. So yeah, I like they literally put me in an impossible situation, and because I couldn't find a way out of said impossible situation, they tried to write me up, and so I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm gone. Anyway, that's enough drama. I hope those that... Why does OBS keep doing that? I hope that those that do enjoy drama and tea, as it were, can enjoy that. I'm gonna go ahead and start the game now. It's been 20 minutes already, almost. I don't even really remember what we were doing with, this. I know we're in the third trial, and we had to find evidence to prove Albert Harebrand's innocence, basically, or to, like, exonerate him of killing the other guy. I forgot what his name was. Odie Asman or something like that. We should be in investigation part 2, I believe? This is not working. E does not work. Okay, yeah, investigation part 2. 23rd October, 2:41 p.m. Naruhodo's legal consultancy.
Oh, this room feels like it's been too long. It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to stay so familiar.
I didn't know when you might return. I wanted everything to be as you'd left it. But it has been some 6 months, it's true.
Since your father died, Susie, what happened? My father?
Yes, Professor Mikotoba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Was it that telegram you see saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason?
In time. I was surprised to be coming back, Susan. Surprised but happy. I think I wrote about it in my letter to you, that it was all a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that.
Well, we're all delighted to have you back.
It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium.
The International Forensic... That's the same symposium one Strongheart mentioned.
Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris.
You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan. Yeah, her promise to tell Iris about how she knew the title of an unreleased Sherlock Holmes, or rather Sherlock Holmes book, or story.
Yes, of course, I shall.
And there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About you-know-who. About Kazuma.
I know. I'll tell you all that I can.
Back in Britain.
When I first started back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely.
The awful trial? Oh yeah, for the murder of Giselle Brett.
You just see the music, didn't you, Susie? Oh, well, yes. Since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Wow, amazing. You should see it. Did you hear that?
Yes, I suppose so.
Oh, baby, annoying. I could wear a false mustache, maybe.
I don't think any mustache can hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Mrs. Otto. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikotoba summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
That's right. The very large dog collar we found with the bee emblem on it. It says Mr. Natsume including a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted in about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned white as white as a sheet.
Why would that be, then?
Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. And I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets. Susie!
It's a very meaningful look Susato-san's giving Iris there. Lord Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend.
Yes, and from Japan, my father and Judge Jigoku have been invited. It's something of an honor, I believe.
Well, Professor Mikotoba is the leading expert in forensic medicine in our country, after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say?
Yes, His Excellency Judge Seishiro Jigoku. You met him, Mr. Naruhodo, last year in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten. A terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder.
Ah, yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days.
Well, it was Judge Jigoku who presided over that trial.
If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy to never see that man's face again in my life.
Oh, well, anyway, as father was invited to the symposium, he agreed to me returning to Britain too. He won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and he agreed to me going on ahead.
Yes, about the symposium. It seems as though Lord Strongheart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important.
I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Strongheart organized the entire event himself. I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General.
The most senior position in the British justice system.
He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyway. Apparently it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition.
Does Professor Mikotoba know Lord Strongheart personally, then, I wonder? Actually, Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech all about this very subject only yesterday. But I sort of lost a little bit early on and didn't really listen to much of it.
How trying for you.
Giselle Brett, the woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson.
Yes.
Yes, Giselle Brett. That's the name I won't forget for as long as I live.
The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget.
Sorry?
Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Giselle Brett didn't actually exist.
Didn't exist? But how could that be?
It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin. And she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front.
Front? Who on earth was she then?
Miss A. Shin. Her name is literally all our intelligence services had been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan. It's a complete mystery.
But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be such as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to?
I'm afraid I don't really know. The only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand.
And now she's been killed. While all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered.
I'm afraid so.
Hey, shit. Who on earth was she? And why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? That was also... Okay, so... I think that was also at the end of the last game, with the encoded message that we listened to. Hey, by the way, Kazuma's alive.
After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange.
I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. That visiting student's fate. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steam ship, and that he'll never...
Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time. But later, I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama.
What did you learn?
After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there.
Should have been?
Well, it turns out that his body never arrived.
I knew it.
It just disappeared.
What? Kazuma's body vanished?
Our government tried to cover up the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except Kazuma-sama isn't there.
Did Professor Mikotoba know about this?
Yes, it would seem that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak.
I just don't believe it. I mean, what is this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? Thinking back now, some of the things that happened with this warrior were definitely strange. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be? Could it be that he's actually still alive?
Stop it, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too much to bear.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Hey, I would like you to take a look at this guy's facial features, specifically this part of his face. And how it is literally Kazuma's face.
Just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly.
Not if Sholmes is also in on the conspiracy. You're right. Which, you know, seems very likely to be the case. So Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all. And that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us.
But there's no reason why he would possibly have done such a thing.
I suppose that's true, yes.
The idea that he might still be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it. What if it turned out not to be true? Then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. I'm terrified of what that might do to me.
Oh, Miss Susato. I know she's given the idea the thought it deserves. It's Susato-san we're talking about, of course, after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now. Mrs. Otto, do you see this?
You have such a great expectation in your eye, Mr. Naruhodo, but I'm afraid nothing particularly useful comes to mind at all.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure what I was expecting, really. We didn't get the move option, so that made me think I need to present stuff. This?
You're still taking good care of that armband, I see. I'm so pleased.
Well, yes, it feels like I wouldn't be me without it now, to be honest.
Oh dear, there seems to be a thread coming loose just there. Look! I'd be only too happy to mend it for you, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, thank you. I must have scraped against something again. I'm always doing that.
Then take better care of it, please.
It was all going so well until I ruined it.
This was used to shoot down the balloon, wasn't it?
Yes, with the flaming arrow. It's quite a formidable weapon.
I'm quite accomplished with the longbow myself, you know.
No, really?
If you were to balance an apple on your head, Mr. Naruto, I'm quite confident I could hit it from a good 15 meters away.
Quite confident, you say? Does the apple necessarily have to be on my head? Wrong thing. Wrong thing again. About this paper, Mrs. Otto.
Yes, it's all about the Great Exhibition. I've been dreaming about it, you know.
I'm sorry that you were going to miss it when you were called back to Japan.
So was I. I felt desperately unlucky. But here I am, back in London while it's underway. It's a dream come true.
But perhaps you're not as unlucky as you thought then.
Once we help Professor Harebrained out of this terrible situation, we should all explore it together. And of course, we must invite the Professor's good friend Lord Van Zeeks as well.
Your luck might not stretch that far. This one? I think I already checked this one. Still the wrong thing. This is the last thing. Okay, let's try examining things.
You have water gently boiling on the stove, I see.
What's wrong, so I can't hear water bubbling away. We have plenty of lawns. It's not like we have to worry about paying for gas.
It's important to open the window for fresh air when the fire's burning, though. You can't keep it closed just because it's cold outside. It can be a matter of life and death.
True, carbon monoxide is poisoning is real. But the freezing winter air is a matter of life and death too, if you ask me.
Oh well, perhaps a nice cup of tea will warm you up later.
See, I'm keeping my desk beautifully covered in papers as always.
You really must tidy it all up, Mr. Naruto. No more excuses.
But Mr. Sato, the way I see it, all these papers building up on my desk like this are a reminder of my wonderfully diverse daily life. I like to leave them as they are, so I never forget how lucky I am to have such varied experiences.
In that case, you should definitely have a thorough tidy. Then you'll be able to see your papers building up all over again and feel that joy renewed.
So can it be in an argument? You know, though I'm the lawyer here.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to making you some tea again, Mr. Naruto.
Which you'd think I wouldn't like, given that I'm not keen on bitter flavors, but it is Susato's one's tea. It's amazing what a little cake or something on the side can do.
I would dearly love to serve you some sort of Japanese sweet alongside your matcha green tea. I suppose it's simply not possible given how long we've been staying here in London.
Oh, I do like the little chocolates you put in my tea. They go wonderfully.
Oh, Mr. Naruto, you would, wouldn't you?
That gives me a warm glow inside for some reason. Nah, we made our friend happy. Oh geez, I don't remember if it's M to look around on the keyboard. Yeah, we're just gonna click. Oh, Iris is up here. I forgot all about that.
I'm so pleased to see all our sea creatures doing so well in the aquarium.
Yes, the prawns are still swimming and the anemones are still swaying. Obviously, I've been looking after them carefully. At first, I used to drool whenever I looked at those juicy prawns, but not anymore. They're like part of the family now.
I don't suppose they'll ever know how close they were to meeting their maker. It must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based off of some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Harry's greatest exploits. I call it the Hound of the Baskervilles.
But then Mr. Jones forbade me from publishing it. I put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it, aka a pawn shop.
So nobody knows anything about it apart from Harry and I. But for some reason, you never heard of it, didn't you, Susie? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. You wouldn't tell me how you'd come to know it. Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. Oh. I'm only sorry I had to keep it from you for so long, Iris.
The Hound of the Baskervilles.
It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, "The Hound of the Baskervilles."
What?
My Baskervilles story? Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time. But Father came in and...
Suzato, what are you doing? Suzato, what are you doing? Suzato, what are you doing?
Oh, Father.
Did you look at those papers? Did you look at those papers? Buzz.
No, I simply read the label, that's all.
I don't remember the voice I used for Mikotoba. Well, put it out of your mind.
Sorry?
Forget that you ever saw it. And certainly don't tell anybody else about this. Do you understand? But what was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan?
I have no idea. When I heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Solmes's exploits. When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions. And there was a big note. Oh, and there was no sign of the big bots in his office. That's really all I know about it. I've no doubt that Father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still. I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. Thank you for being so honest, Susie. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I committed every detail about the case to my memory. And Iris has told me the most about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museum as well.
So you're fully abreast of the situation already, Mr. Zato. I'd expect nothing less, to be honest.
I would think our first port of call should be to investigate this Mr. Drebber. The engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick.
Yes, a conjurer of sorts by the sound of it, well known in the fields of science and magic.
Then we need to go and arrest him.
Well, yes. He must know the truth behind this case, so I agree we really do need to find the man.
It seems like the keys are tracking someone down. This is a job for the police. I'm a big detective.
I'm supposed to guess who she might be thinking of. We don't have much time, so we need to get started straight away, I think.
Good idea. I'm best detective.
Oh, you're not coming today?
I'm going to be seeing urgently at even in the airmarket. Let me know at least how you got on, won't you?
That was a little abrupt. The pull of the urban market must be strong. New location added. Eh? Okay, it said a new location was added, but there is no new location here. I guess we're gonna go to Sholmes' suite. 23rd October, Sholmes' suite. Sholmes is not here. Okay. Maybe the experimentation stage? 23rd October, the Great Exhibition Grounds, foot of the Crystal Tower.
I had no idea there were so many people in the world.
I don't know what you mean. It's really packed here today.
It feels as though it's taken us 2 hours just to make our way through the crowds to this point.
Has it? I shut my brain down, so I didn't really notice, to be honest.
Gosh, I do wish I had your absence of mind sometimes, Mr. Naruhodo.
There you are. I had a feeling you lot would show your mugs before long. Oh, Inspector Gregson. I see you're hard at work as usual. Well, I'm greeting, sir. I do hope you've been keeping well since last week. What's all the ceremony? We just saw each other in court this morning. Not you, sunshine. The gentlewoman's so loyally at your side.
Oh! Why, thank you, Inspector. How good of you to notice.
He might be a bit rough around the edges, but he's still a proper English gentleman at heart, I suppose. As you probably guessed, we're here to investigate the scenes. Right. Well, that's the young trainee's domain. Oi, get over here, Gina. No, he's playing with a puppy. She seems to be busy playing with the puppy, giving it a traditional East End training.
Gina? She's a police officer now?
Amazing, isn't it? She's a good kid, actually. Heart's in the right place, anyway. She's got the detention bug, if you ask me. Yep, I think she'll follow in my footsteps nicely. What do you mean? I'm being transferred. Time for me to say toodaloo to London.
Oh no, really?
That's a bit sudden, isn't it? I had no idea. We're going to be roasted then. We'll come to see how you're getting along. Not likely. You're welcome to Troy. You don't mind a trip to France, that is. To France? I'll be working in the Paris Police Prefecture. Should be right up my alley. But France? It's an entirely different country. I don't understand. Why would you be sent there? That's the way the adult world works, sunshine. And don't go poking your nose in where it's not wanted. What are they trading in like a draft? Like a professional sports draft? Or they're just like, we want Gregson on Team France and then Britain is like, oh, we want Inspector Hosonaga.
intend to take the kid with me when I go.
What? You're taking Gina to Paris?
Well, I can't leave her here in London. Who knows what would become of her.
I suppose his words will slip back into slipping her hands into people's pockets and purses.
I don't think he's worried about our pickpocketing, Mr. Naruto. I think he's worried about the Reaper.
Oh, of course. So that's what's playing on Inspector Grace's mind. So it's playing on Inspector Grace's mind too, is it?
Anyway, I haven't mentioned any of this to Gina, so don't go blabbing me, I mean.
No, of course not.
I gotta keep that Diamond Diva safe and sound. Until all this is over, at least.
Oi! Did you just call me a bloomin' Diamond Diva again?
So you heard that, did you? Well, alright, well, any questions about the scene you can put them in to my capable Detective Diva over here.
Alright, you ain't the boss. Inspector Lestray is in charge here now.
So I better keep my word and not mention anything about Paris. Gina, you got a new dog, haven't you?
Isn't he great? Toby is his name.
Aw, Toby.
Oh, how delightful. He's absolutely adorable.
Yes, the dog does seem lovely. But it's the not so lovely Inspector Grayson that's playing on my mind, to be honest. Let's just go in order. Gina, we're actually hoping we can investigate the scene again.
Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like.
Oh, it's alright, is it?
I'm gonna be playing with my new friend here.
Ah, yes, Toby. Aw, hi, Toby.
The machine that exploded must be at the top of those stairs, I presume? I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind. Sorry, you can't go up there, Suze. Oh. It's like I told Otto yesterday. I ain't landing yet, Rick. What's it called again? Or is we supposed to touch it? The
special dispensation for scientific equipment act? Is that what you're thinking of?
That's the one. That's why all of them are allowed to investigate it. What do you call them? The forensic something?
The forensic investigation team? Is that what you were thinking of?
That's the one, yeah. But isn't it the case that the special dispensation has been lifted? I think so. I don't really get it, to be truthful with you. You're still supposed to get permission from some bigwig girl that, as far as I know. What was his name again? Lord Strange something.
Lord Strongheart, okay.
I'm not sure that's quite right, Tina. I think you mean Lord Strongheart, perhaps. That's the one, yeah! Apparently he's watching in the time or something. I was watching the time or something.
So without Lord Strongheart's express permission, we can't investigate on the stage.
It was great, weren't it? I had a right laugh. It was a new one on me that. You know, being in court and not spending all the time worrying I'm about to be found out. You did keep an awful lot of secrets in all your previous court appearances, didn't you? Yeah, and all those made things up for me every single time and all.
Just doing my job, you know.
But watching someone else get in the neck is a lot of fun, actually. It was amazing when you showed that dodgy Professor's dodgy experiment was a total fix. The dodgy professor, as you put it, Gina, is Mr. Naruto's client.
Yes, I'm starting to wish he wasn't, though.
It's the boss I feel sorry for, so don't do the impossible. What do you mean? He's supposed to arrest that other cove, ain't he? In time for tomorrow and all. You know, a dodgy engineer. What was his name? What was his name again?
Mr. Drebber, you mean? Enoch Drebber.
That's the one, yeah.
So the police are looking for this mysterious man with the black monocle. I guess they would be.
It's putting too much pressure on the boss, if you ask me. He says it's giving him gun ache.
I might just be, the fish and chips.
Oh dear, but I do wonder if that isn't actually from all the fried food.
It's actually what I just said. So Scotland Yard turns attack down the street on Trevor. I wonder if they had any luck.
It's really funny looking. Got 2 eyes that don't match. Still gives a fish very learning. I mean, I didn't actually pinch it or nothing. You know, Devil Scotty.
Sorry, who?
You know, that Skeleton Reaper was gogging down glasses that blood-rich cloak. Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. He's always hanging for me at Cone. Don't know what he's always scaling about mine. Probably been a pretty good boss as it goes.
So now they'd be the Reaper's apprentice than a detective's trainee? The way I see it, if the choice is between a chip-guzzling detective and a chalice-chugging, glugging demigod, they're equally badly off with both.
I suppose you're right. I hadn't thought of it like that.
Gotta put that one to bed.
Anyway, the point is, everyone at the yards did set up fighting for here today. Sorry, I yawned. There don't seem to be no clues to go once I stop.
There's nothing that's gonna lead us to Trevor at all. Where'd you find that little mutt then, Gina?
Oi, don't be so flaming rude, Otto.
Slight overreaction, don't you think?
Ain't nothing but alright. Toby's, how do they put it? Oh yeah, a bona fide detective.
Sorry?
I'm giving him proper time and everything. It's Chief Inspector Toby to you.
Watching you than Inspector Gregson, is he?
Oh, so he's a police dog, is he?
Police recruit dogs?
I've heard that they're already being used officially in Germany as part of their city policing. They're used for chasing criminals and such like. They have a wonderful sense of smell after all.
I have a fairly good sense of smell myself as it happens. You can tell the undergarments that have been freshly laundered from undergarments that haven't.
Huh, that's nothing compared to this little fella, Otto.
Oh, really?
According to what the boss said, what Toby is gonna go away for your draws. He can chase us to the other side of the world.
What? To the other side of the world? You mean he can swim?
Mr. Tarahono, I think he may have missed the point by a rather large margin.
I just can't believe this little dog has such an incredible skill.
I'm telling you, Otto, there's gonna be more and more dogs doing their bit for the place in the future. Yes, I agree. Right, all you say is I've been barking orders at us a lot, not the other way around. Oh dear. Sorry, Gina, I don't think I agree with your vision quite that much. Well, anyway, whatever you think about that, Toby is Britain's first police dog. I found him down in the museum the other day. Someone just chucked him out on the street.
There you go. I knew she'd lifted him from somewhere. That's not really lifting. That's adopting. Unless the dog is like very clearly has an owner or something like that.
Oh, Gina, you're such a kind-hearted soul, aren't you? To children and to animals.
Let's go to Strongheart's office then. Time to waste 2 hours to get out of here just to talk to Strongheart. Who you? Who dis? 23rd October, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Oh, who's that standing beside Lord Strongheart?
I wonder. I've never seen her before.
the young champion of the court. You had some success this morning, I understand. And you've thrown the entire government into disarray as a result. Oh. You mean because the professor here runs experiment? Sham science being demonstrated at London's Great Exhibition. The country's been made to look foolish, and now politicians are scrambling to respond. Lord Lanceus is in Whitehall as we speak, giving an emergency briefing. Oh dear, I didn't mean to cause any trouble. None of this is your responsibility. The government is entirely to blame for having been taken in. A special dispensation that prevents the investigation at the scene will be annulled later today. Once that happens, my forensic investigation team will move in and deal with that scrap metal in no time. It's scrap metal now, is it? Until later then, Lord Strongheart. Yes, thank you. Who was that? That was Dr. Courtney Seethe, Scotland Yard's esteemed chief coroner. She's leading the forensic investigation team's handling of this case. She's just delivering her report about the victim, in fact. Oh, I see. About Mr. Asman. Following the outcome of the trial earlier, I asked the coroner's office to reevaluate its findings. I don't have time to tell you what she concluded. If you want to know, you'll have to ask her directly. You can find her in the forensics laboratory. Ah, right. Now, what were you here to see me about? I can give you 7 minutes and 39 seconds of my time. So it's not really quite so spectacularly late anymore, which is impressive because he spent 2 hours talking about us while being like 6 hours, or talking to us, while also being like super far behind. Forensic investigation team? What exactly is the forensic investigation team that you mentioned before? The British Empire's police force must become the most exemplary in the world. For that to happen, it's imperative that we embrace forensic science and everything it has to offer. I first created the forensic investigation team a year ago now, unofficially of course, to pave the way.
Goodness, a year ago?
At next month's symposium, I intend to present the results of their work to the world. Once I do that, the House of Lords will be powerless to oppose the creation of a full-scale forensics division. Once that happens, the position of Attorney General will be mine, and criminals will suffer dearly. What do you mean? For too long, those scoundrels have made a mockery of our legal system with false evidence and bribes, but London's scum is about to be rounded up and burnt in the fires of hell. I intend to see to it personally by creating the finest police force the world has ever known to protect our honor and our future. Those eyes, he means every word. Dr. Seethe is an extremely reliable coroner. When I officially establish the forensics division at Scotland Yard, she will run it as my right-hand woman. Now then, speaking of the symposium, Miss Mikotoba.
Oh, yes, my lord?
Your father should be on the high seas as we speak, making his way here to represent the Empire of Japan.
Yes, that's right. I understand he will arrive at the beginning of next month.
Are you acquainted, Lord Strongheart? Professor Mikotoba, I mean. It was many years ago now, but yes, I remember Dr. Mikotoba very well. If my memory serves, it was some 15 years ago now that your father came to Britain as a visiting student.
It was the year I was born, so yes, 16 years ago, in fact.
She's only... Wait, didn't he just say 15? She's a teenager? I didn't realize. I thought she was like early to mid-20s. Mikotoba was a young practitioner of forensic students, and Jigoku accompanied him as a young promising judge. The punctiliousness and politeness of the Japanese at the time impressed us greatly.
Not that I wish to imply politeness or carelessness on your part in any way.
I don't think that you are.
Dr. Mikotoba studied forensics at one of London's large hospitals. St. Sinners, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Seath is also there, as it happens. And Dr. Seath knows my father, does she? She was a medical assistant at the time, so I doubt their paths crossed regularly. But no doubt they knew each other superficially. After all, Dr. Mikotoba was here studying his subject for some 6 years in total.
6 years? That's a long time to be studying abroad, isn't it?
I lived with my grandmother in those years.
So he left his newly born daughter behind and went overseas for 6 whole years?
It was a rather turbulent time at home.
Oh.
Perhaps Father wanted a reason to get away.
What do you mean? Why? Well, clearly something was going on at the time. I wanted to ask you about Lord Van Zees, actually. I heard his older brother was killed some years ago by a mass murderer known as the Professor who targeted nobles and royalty. Is that right?
You Japanese are a thorough lot. You've done your research well. Yes. And you could say it was that very incident that gave rise to the Reaper.
What? Why?
When his brother Clint Van Zees was murdered, it was just after young Barrack had graduated from the University of London and become a prosecutor. When obvious criminals who managed to evade conviction in court started disappearing, it was quickly spread throughout the capital. Not enough to say that wherever Barrack Van Zees went, the ghost of his dead brother wasn't far behind. Oh my word!
So, Lord Van Zees is a Reaper. It's the ghost of his brother?
Ever since that time, he became a very aloof figure in London's legal circles.
Oh yes, Lord Strongheart. Go ahead. It's about Professor Harebrain's experimental machine. We'd like your permission to examine the remains, if possible.
Are you well versed in science, then?
Not in the slightest. In fact, you could say I was barely aware of the subject at all until recently.
Well, the special dispensation legally preventing investigation of the machine is currently being annulled. Within a few hours, Dr. Seed's team of forensic experts will begin their own investigation. But I suppose until then, there's no harm in you looking at the wreckage as long as you touch nothing.
Thank you. Being able to look at it is better than nothing.
But I'll be able to see it too! Your time is up. You'll have to excuse me now, I'm afraid. A minute's engagement calls. We're extremely sorry for having had to trouble you when you're so busy, my lord. I have important matters to attend to in preparation for the symposium, you understand.
Let's go to the new location added. Coroner's office, right? Okay, forensics laboratory. Hang on, we should be able to go back to the experimentation stage now. It's right? Here we go, investigating the scene. Gina. We're actually hoping that we can investigate the scene again.
Yeah, alright. It's around here, you can do what you like.
Oh, it's alright, is it?
I'm not finding your friend here yet.
Oh yes, Toby.
The machine that exploded must be at the top of those stairs, I presume? I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind. Sorry, you can't go there, Suze. Oh. It's like I told Otto yesterday, even I am not near that right. Let's go again.
Special disposition, blah blah blah. It's the same conversation as before. But, I think so, but you need permission from Lord Strongheart. That's not right, you know,
Nice one, yay! Actually, we've just recently been to see Lord Strongheart. Eh? You what? You've met him? Last time the boss was called to go and see him. He waited for 3 hours at the Code's office and came back sneakily.
Tragic.
Well, Lord Strongheart has given us permission to examine the scene as long as we touch nothing. Oh, yeah?
Honestly.
Alright then, go ahead. But if it turns out you're lying, it'll be the boss who gets it and never eat another chip again in his life. So, you're saying all this is about border, are you? I'm sure everything will be fine.
That really would be tragic.
Alright then, here's the stairs, off you go. Oh, thank you, Gio.
Alright, up the stairs we go. This is an experimentation station. Let's go see what we can find out. October, the Great Exhibition Grounds Experimentation Stage.
Oh my, so this is the machine that was used to deceive people into thinking instantaneous kinesis had taken place.
Yes, that's right. Or rather, it was the machine. It's a little worse for wear at the moment.
What extraordinary lengths Professor Harebrine went to in order to obtain the research grant.
No, the professor was strict as well. He didn't know anything about it.
Yes, of course. It is amazing though, isn't it? The scale of the whole affair is so very British.
You're right about that. You'd never see such a grand deception in Japan, that's for sure.
Oh look, is that Lord Van Zeeks?
So I think we're more or less done here, aren't we, shall we, Mr. Zato?
Already?
He is the Reaper, remember? We do well to keep our distance, I think.
But we have permission to be here, from the top. Also, you also have a sword. Ryunosuke, don't be a coward. Fight him, duel him, 1v1 him, IRL. We're perfectly well allowed to investigate this machine as long as we don't touch anything.
From the top? You mean Lord Strongheart?
Exactly. So we can stay here and stare at this wreckage for as long as we like.
She could have been at the center of the explosion here and it wouldn't have done her steel will. Well, let's do the obvious thing for... Hello. Oh, that's just tied with that. Okay. Okay, well, let's do the obvious thing first and speak to Van Zeeks. Least approachable man in the world's winner 10 years in a row.
Be strong, Mr. Naruto. Your country and your assistant stand firm behind you.
Lord Van Zeeks? What? Well, beautiful weather, Ravi, isn't it? I thought I was making it quite clear that I didn't want to be disturbed. Apparently you Nipponese are unequipped to read the signs. Oh, I read them. So, what are you doing here? Entry to this area is prohibited. Well, the thing is...
Lord Chitro's Strongheart granted us permission to investigate, on the condition that we didn't disturb anything.
And yet you've managed to disturb me. You're not part of the crime scene.
Ah!
Never mind. State your business then. Come to think of it, there are quite a few things I'd like to ask Lord Van Zeeks about. Not the least of which is that awful casing wants nothing to do with this.
Ask away, Mr. Naruto. You won't know unless you try.
Yeah, look on Enoch. At least trying to locate the engineer, Mr. Rubber, already? Sure, that goes without saying. We're very keen to see him found as well. The trouble is, we don't have much to go on aside from the description of the man we heard in court earlier.
Which, according to Professor Hairbrain, was of a tall, thin gentleman who has straight white hair and wears a black monocle.
So I was just wondering, I mean, I realize it's probably not possible, but,
We'd very much appreciate any more clues you can give us.
wow, Sato-san really knows how to take the bull by the horns.
Fine, why not? I have a photograph of the man here from an investigation 10 years ago. Though it appears that he already had that black monocle at the time. What?
Oh, no, nothing. I was just surprised that you shared that with us. It hasn't been out of our court record yet.
We all need the man's testimony in court tomorrow, which means we have to do everything we possibly can to track him down in the short time available. So wouldn't I show you the photograph?
What is it about Lord Van Zeeks? Sometimes I just can't work him out at all. Photograph of Trevor added to the court record. I was about to say fork record. So, Clint was the name of your older brother, I understand, Lord Van Zeeks.
Please, I always have to be on guard whenever you're around. So you've been investigating me, have you?
Oh, no, it's not like that. Well, alright, it is a bit like that, yet.
My older brother was also a prosecutor. He was the pride of the Van Zeeks family. But tragically, a vicious killer took him from us.
The professor, you mean? Is something funny?
That's the extent of what you've discovered, is it? I shouldn't be surprised.
Sorry? There's more to it then.
Lackluster work is very much your trademark, isn't it?
You're too kind. Are you going to tar all Nipponese with the same brush next?
So tell me, what's your interest in that historic incident?
As it happens, Lord Van Zeeks, there's a rather curious case that's come to our attention. Are you aware of the Madame Tussauds Museum of Waxwork by any chance?
I am, naturally. I believe that since last month I feature in one of the displays there for public scorn.
Of course, the infamous Reaper of the Bailey would have to be exhibited, wouldn't he?
Well, a particular waxwork has been stolen from the place and held for ransom.
A particular answer. Wait, you mean?
Yes, it's the professor. Mr. Sholmes is investigating the case as we speak.
I was unaware of that. He's turned as white as a sheet.
Hey, Cosmo, how's it going?
The file I requested for the trial tomorrow. Thank you.
Are you alright?
Who is this man, Mr. Naruhodo?
Lord Van Zeus' apprentice, apparently. So I'm not the only one. Susato can see it too, so I can see it too.
Lord Van Zeeks, may we speak with your apprentice for a moment?
With him? Why? Oh, they're just flat out revealing it, huh?
Kazuma-sama!
Wow, I didn't think they would just outright do that. Kazu. I don't believe it.
Your posture, your presence, it can only be... It's you, isn't it, Kazuma-sama?
I felt something strange the very first time I encountered this cloaked figure. As if I knew him somehow. Does he have amnesia or something? Are they going that route? Can it really be you, Kazuma?
Wait!
Too late. What's going on here? What is your interest in my apprentice exactly? You act as if you know the man or something. Oh,
Since when has he been in your care? I don't recall you having an apprentice before I left Britain 6 months ago.
Lord Strongheart introduced him to me about 3 months ago now, with instructions to mentor him as a prosecutor. But he didn't tell you why, did he? The man appears to be suffering from amnesia. He's forgotten every last detail about himself.
He has amnesia?
I feel like he's just faking the amnesia, right? Tomorrow you'll appear in court at my side. What? He's to serve as my judicial assistant on Lord Strongheart's orders. He'll be in court with us? No, unless I was mistaken, I believe this conversation has run its course. Oh, yes, thank you. I definitely saw a reaction there. When Susato cried out like that, it really seemed to hit a nerve. We should call it Kazuma-sama.
What a terrible explosion it must have been. Even the steel girders had buckled and twisted in the blast.
I think all the bird cage is right in the middle of it all, just here.
But look, Mr. Naruto, the middle grill on the floor. It's as though it's designed to open.
It does, doesn't it? If the door had opened at the precise moment the explosion occurred, the bird cage could have dropped through and disappeared from sight.
I don't think there's any doubt that this was a very elaborate hoax, is there?
This wasn't here yesterday.
Really? But if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing before he was apparently beamed through the air.
That's right, the bird cage, according to what Professor Harebrained said in court, is made of wood.
Or more precisely, Japanese cypress, I think. And despite having been in an explosion and falling from a great height, it's relatively unharmed. What wonderfully durable construction, wouldn't you say, Mr. Naruto?
I'd understood that the forensic team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. Someone must have brought it back here when they finished their work.
But sadly, not with the body inside it.
No, that's right. Nowhere even strict instructions on attention, but still. This is too important piece of evidence to overlook. We might need it for a trial. Bird cage from the machine has been entered into the court record. So can I, like, examine it in the court record itself?
You'd already met that masked man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruto?
Hang on a second, I want to actually look into the birdcage itself. Ah, look here, Mr. Sato.
Oh yes, the wood's cracked and broken a little. I suppose because it fell from such a height?
No. Yes, from the height at which the balloon was flying down into the crystal tower below. Fall about 30 feet, or 9 meters.
Leaving the man inside tragically dead.
Damage to its base. I bumped my mic, so sorry if that was heard. Or... it was opened...
No, I don't. That mustn't. Man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruto?
Yes, yesterday, in fact, at Lord Van Zeke's office.
I see. And if Kazuma-sama really is still alive, it means that Mr. Sholmes lied to us.
I know. We're going to need to speak to him about that. You're going to have to leave now. The forensic team are due to arrive shortly. If they find you here, it will cause problems. What sort of problems? Foreign affairs problems. Well, we can do without that. Alright, we'll be on our way. Let's go, Mr. Zato.
Of course.
Gina, we were actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again.
Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like.
Oh, that's alright then? We're just gonna skip ahead. Playing with, Toby. Apparently we can't look on, apparently we can't look around on stage now because the forensic investigation team at work. Can't you do anything here? In your capacity as a special illustrator?
Look, I would help you out. I'm just a trainee, ain't I? Ain't nothing I can do.
It suits you, yes. Alright, well... let's go talk to... Courtney Slythe, air quotes. Where is the monocle at? 23rd October, Forensics Laboratory. She may not need... well... I believe this is it. Dr. C is the laboratory. I guess the monocle may not even be, like, necessary. Like, these two are very clearly the same person. It's just, this is a much older photo of him. It's just the photo we got of him is, you know... that chemical smell really assaults the nose. There's plenty of salty eyes in here, too.
Who else is the doctor isn't here?
Really?
But we're here now, so we may as well do some sightseeing, don't you think?
Let us see some tourists you become, Mr. Zato. You just have a little look around, and being careful not to upset any restless souls.
That looks like an owl and a crow up there.
I know, and they haven't even twitched since we came in here.
Well, no, they wouldn't have. They're taxidermy mounts, Mr. Naruto.
I was afraid you were going to say that. I'm trying very hard to tell myself that they're just sleeping with their eyes open. They're probably not even taxidermy, they're probably just, like... well... They're probably just made of, like, clay or something.
Yeah.
or wats, actually, all things considered.
Yes, I think perhaps you were wise to put something like your doll on display in the office instead.
Oh, look at this. A magnificent display case. The cherry wood has been polished to a high sheen, and the intricate carving is a joy to behold. Western cabinet makers are very skilled, aren't they?
Do you have nothing to say about the skeleton inside, Mr. Naruto?
Mrs. Zato, can't you tell that I'm trying very hard to avoid talking about the terrifying contents of the case? It's how I cope.
I'll be sure to remember that from now on.
Look at all the bottles on the shelves in these cabinets. What an assortment of chemicals.
The ones here are labeled highly toxic.
That's worrying because there are also things that look like salt and pepper shakers in there.
Oh yes, they actually say salt and pepper on them. The doctor probably spends a lot of time in this room, I suppose. Perhaps she has meals here sometimes.
Life goes on even when you're surrounded by death. Table and set of sharp tools. When you consider each in isolation, it looks quite innocent. So I wasn't really put them side by side. This seems so horribly disturbing.
It might be best not to ponder it too deeply. Seeing the large tome that's open on the desk does make me wonder, though. How can anybody concentrate on bookwork with this acrid odor of chemicals in the air?
You either have to have a cast iron constitution or be a really terrible sense of smell. These large jars seem to have pale things floating around inside them. I suppose they're fruit liquors or something, or like pickled umeboshi plum, the pickled umeboshi plums we make back home.
Father had jars like that in his laboratory as well. I expect they're human organs in a preserving solution. Probably some samples of some rare medical condition.
Mrs. Otto, there are some things in the world that it's perfectly fine to never know about. Ever.
Oh!
So as I said, I'm sure their fruit liquors are umeboshi, aren't they?
Of course.
Well, let's check the desk.
I suppose this is Dr. Seed's desk.
I would not like to work in a place like this.
It's very tidy though, isn't it, Mr. Naruto? Imagine how efficiently she must work.
The lighting is poor, which is bad for the eyes, and the chemical smell can't be good for you. Not to mention the skeleton watching over you as you work, which is definitely bad for the nerves.
Well, yes, those are valid concerns, I suppose.
I can just about cope with the one-eyed Daruma doll watching over me. But that's all. Was that it? Yes, that was it. Interesting. I hit the back button and nothing. Madam Tuss spells, I guess. October 23rd October, Madam Tuss spells.
Oh my! No wonder it's called the House of Horrors. I like to turn on my heels and go straight home, be at the confectionery.
Being scared makes you crave sweets. I can understand that.
I was looking forward to a reunion after 6 months away, but there's no sign of Mr. Sholmes anywhere.
That's strange. He should be here investigating the abduction of the Watts work. Oh well, I guess we'll just come back again later. Huh?
This one's posture reveals his weakness.
Sorry.
The killer's stance leaves him wide open to attack. I'm quite sure I could see him off. With a Susato takedown and then a Susato squash and finally a Susato smash. Right. If that doesn't render the culprit unconscious, a Susato slam should finish him. A Susato slam? Oh, I'm sorry. It's rather hard to explain. Leave yourself open slightly, I'll demonstrate. Absolutely not. Oh, what a horrifying scene! A murderer caught in the grisly act. I know. In case you're wondering, it's the one with the big knife that's supposed to be the killer. I don't think anybody would be in any doubt about that, surely. And did you know that according to the description, the bathtub at the back has no particular significance? What? Really? I would have thought it was meant to show that the killer also worked in a bathhouse peddling rural wares. Aha, we have a new theory. Ah yes, the heavy curtains in the middle of the house are floors. Those on the side, you just know it's going to be terrifying, don't you? The sign says it's the Madam Justice special exhibit. It seems not to pay extra to go inside. I know, can you believe that? We pay more money as if we hadn't been secured enough already. It's not my doing, Mr. Naruhodo. Where am I supposed to go then? Prison? Well, 23rd October, local prison, cell 11. What's he doing? Oh my, the whole wall of the cell is covered in mathematical equations. He's still writing more now. Professor, sorry to interrupt. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. And who is this young lady? My name is Susato Mikotoba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor. Oh, if only I'd met a refined young woman like you sooner. This would have happened. That's not logical. That makes no sense at all. Oh dear, I'm sorry my presence here upsets you. I owe you an apology too, Professor. I didn't manage to deliver what I promised you I would in court this morning. Oh no, the whole thing, the whole miserable affair. It all happened because I've been such a complete and utter clot. Professor Hairbrain, what have you been working on in your cell? Oh, you mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I was suddenly struck by an idea, you see, and I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had to hand. Well, is it some new hypothesis? Something to surpass super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, maybe? No, actually, this is my autobiography. Your autobiography? How I was diddled and fiddled by Albert Hairbrain. I found I can represent my odd fortunes with only odd numbers in an ambitious set of simultaneous equations. Really? I'm going to have to pay back all the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see. So it's going to be a serial publication from next month. Part 1, an odd birth and odd upbringing. Can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. I see. Well, for now, would you mind if I talked a little more about the case? Oh yes, of course. I've been working through the numbers. I was deviled, I was fiddled by the pair of them. By Asman, and by that aloof engineer Dreadlord. We're not going to sit through an explanation of all these equations, are we? It seems like the options menu did not pop up. Everything I believed in has been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Asmund, the kinesis machine, my hypothesis even. I'm sorry it's come to this. There was no other way. There really was no other way. No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end, there was nothing worth protecting. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. I didn't want to trick the public. No, of course you didn't. In court this morning, I realized something. Oh? If you've done something wrong without knowing it, you've still done something wrong. Logically, it makes no difference if you're aware of it or not. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame still lies with me. Oh, Professor. He believed in me this morning, you know. Barrett did. He believed in my hypothesis. Oh, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing its case. No, Barrett wouldn't do something like that. I'm sure he genuinely believed it. Did he? I think I understand now. Why it was that he decided to take on the prosecution in a trial, I mean. After the terrible accident happened, nobody would believe in my hypothesis anymore. Also, the audio broke again, so give me a second. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not any lawyers even. I feel like I dealt some kind of visual blow there. Sorry, I yawned. So if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Derek, after the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis a complete and utter nonsense. And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor. Exactly, which would have been a fate worse than death for me. But Derek insisted that I was a proper man of science from start to finish. You think that's why he... I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul. But that extremely kind-hearted soul spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he? Well, admittedly, that part of the analysis appears to have some flaws in it. What about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea? Do you think he set out to shrink me from the very start? I'm sorry to say, but that does seem likely, yes. When I first met him, he introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked at... Pardon me, I yawned again. He looked over the paper I'd written and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused, he was so emphatic. But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network. But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network. I still can't believe it. As the machine was essentially a set decoration for some stage magic, it probably didn't require a large amount of investment, actually. But the scale of it, it wasn't just some small trick. It was a very elaborate feat of deception. All young scientists are full of hope about the burgeoning ideas, full of zeal. But none of us have any money. We want to do research, but we can't afford it. Many of us take on barely legal part-time work to try to earn a few measly pennies to carry on. To go through all of that only to be taken for a complete fool, it's too rotten to believe. It is, I agree. And that's why we have to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Mr. Asmund is no more, of course, which leaves only the engineer. Mr. Enoch Trevor. Is he an engineer or magician or swindler? It was about a year ago when Mr. Asmund first brought Trevor to meet me at my laboratory. Since then, I've met
many times to discuss the details about the kinesis machine. But at no point did you have any inkling he was just an illusionist. Oh, he definitely wasn't just an illusionist. What do you mean? He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that the man's a genuine scientist. It's instantly apparent in conversation. I see.
But the wretched man deceived you, Professor. It's unforgivable. We must do everything we can to find him and bring him to justice. There are no more clues you can give us as to his whereabouts?
I'm sorry, we only ever discussed the kinesis machine, nothing else. Although, just once, I did visit his workshop. What workshop? There was an enormous fabrication laboratory where he constructed my great machine. Why didn't you mention this before? You know, Trevor's workshop. There's every chance we might find a man there. So you've been to Trevor's place of work then? Yes, just once, you understand. It was an enormous place, plenty of room to construct the kinesis machine, you see. Where can we find it? We have to go there at once. There's a good chance that we'll find Drubber there. Oh yes, definitely. I'm sure, Resin. I'm sure you're not going to want to hear this. But I have absolutely no idea what the workshop is at all. I'm so sorry. I was more than half expecting that. You see, I was blindfolded in the carriage the entire way there. He blindfolded you? He wasn't taking any chances then. The place was incredible. The pinnacle of modern engineering. And even the oil he used is the very best. A special French-made machine oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Ah, the indescribable scent of that imported oil. Perfumers across the world should forget their secret formulae and use that instead. What do you think, Mr. Sato? You name machine for your next birthday?
I've never used any kind of perfume, Mr. Naruhodo, and I'm not sure that I'd like to start with that. I don't suppose you know even part of the workshop's address, Professor? You don't have a business card for Mr. Drebber, for example?
The man was clearly very cautious, Mr. Sato. He would have never... Aha! Yes, I do. He gave me his business card once. It's right here. Look.
Let me see that.
So we're gonna get to the window, why don't you?
Enoch Trevor, engineer. Okay, that's all it says. There's no address.
No. Oh well, can't say I'm surprised. So this could be useful. Start smudge here.
I think perhaps it's machine oil.
Ah yes, possibly. Professor Harebrain mentioned something with the oil Mr. Trevor uses, didn't he? So it's especially important, very high quality oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain.
Yes, that's right. More important, that it's more fragrant than the finest perfumes. So excuse me for a moment. Oh, it doesn't appear to have any scent at all.
Don't worry. I had thought that's because there's such a tiny amount on here. Smear machine oil on the reverse, alright? Oh, this is a very simple puzzle. Let's go back here. About this, Gina.
Yeah, I'm still learning me letters at the moment. I only know I to eat. So hey, too much bleeding trouble? Actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important. Eh? How come? It's just a dirty old switch on the back, that's all. It turns out that this is a very high quality French machine oil. It has a very particular scent, apparently. Yeah, I'll say. Let's have a whiff thing. You sure? I don't smell nothing.
No, we didn't mean that you should smell it.
Oh, right. You mean Toby.
And since the smell is so good, he can trap people over oceans, can't he?
Professor Harebrain informs us that this oil is unique to Mr. Trevor's workshop.
I think he's picked up a scent.
So you mean if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby can lead us to Dodgy Co's workshop? That's right! That's exactly what we were hoping. Alright then, we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that.
What? Wait, when did you... It's a pickpocket.
If I can lead everyone over to that Trevor's workshop, I'll be the boss's boss before next week. Oh yes, Gina. I'm sure you'll be promoted.
Poor Gregson.
Alright then, Arlo. Leave it to me.
Sorry?
I'm gonna get going after that dodgy Jericho right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Someone's supposed to be on guard duty here all the time.
I'm afraid we can't help. We need to go on with our investigation as well, Gina.
Oh, right. Oh, well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what gets it in there. It'll be the boss.
Poor Gregson. Again.
Hey, Tommy, got that oil in there, you? Go on, you baby boy. See you later. I do hope the scent of that oil leads into the Soldier's workshop.
Yes, I hope so too. Ideally before the dog swims across the channel to France. Alright, well, we've sent them on a wild goose chase. Here? Nothing. Here? Nothing. Back to Tussville's? Forensics laboratory. Back to those cells again and look around?
Scorching ground that you mentioned.
Yes, and what's left of the green balloon's envelope. All clear evidence of the balloon that exploded on the day of the incident.
Poor Professor Harebrain. I do feel sorry for him that his dreams have been shattered like this.
Someone swallowed and truly burst as a bubble, as it were. Ha ha ha. Ouch. I'm a bad person. Better not try going up those stairs on the stage right now. If we're involved with the forensic investigation team, it sounds like it can make trouble. Oh, we haven't looked up above.
Oh, the Crystal Tower. I can't believe this again. It's such close proximity with my own eyes.
Good, I'm looking for the Great British Exhibition, haven't you, Mr. Zato?
Oh yes, when I found out I had to return to Japan, I'm afraid I cursed my luck.
But here you are back in London, gazing up at the magnificent tower.
I know. Perhaps I was wrong to curse my luck so harshly.
Oh, I was actually trying to go up.
Examine those two. What a shame that the symbolic landmark of the Great British Exhibition has been damaged like that. Yes, unfortunately, the birdcage crashed into the most prominent position possible. It's the gods giving us a warning, if you ask me. Man must travel under his own steam and not cut corners with instantaneous kinesis. But imagine what might have happened if the birdcage had landed in a slightly different location. The death toll could have been far worse. So I think perhaps it was a blessing in disguise. Well, gods are benevolent, obviously. I did say it was just a warning. Man must travel under his own steam, or next time birdcages will rain down on all of you. Your faith is much stronger than I realized. Well, how do you think I passed the entrance exam for UMA University? It wasn't by studying alone. Oh look, a flying balloon! I've never seen one in flesh before. I can't understand how they fly so high up. So, as well. Oh, but think of the view, Mr. Naruhodo. You must be able to see for miles and miles. I do think of it, and it terrifies me. I mean, it would be certain death if you fell out. I'm sure they're perfectly safe. After all, they've been invented by some of the brightest minds in the world. Let's not forget that we know at least one has exploded. I'm sure there are other ways to fly. Okay. We're gonna do this. So I need to put my analysis. No. Apparently that's the wrong picture somehow. I'm not supposed to go back to this. Sholmes is sweet. Nothing here. To the legal consultancy? This. Professor, do you recognize this? Oh, it's Andrew, my faithful friend. How have you been? Are you alright? Nobody's mistreating you, have they? Don't worry, he's been very well looked after. I was rubbing with machine oil until he's gleaming. Right. And then when I come starting to screw with him, it slips in my hand and I can't do it. It's an age-old problem faced by driver files. The world over, isn't it? I really wouldn't know, I'm afraid. How could this have happened? It's a real offer. As well as the man losing his life, which was greatly damaged. Happened was from that. Give him too much change. Okay, we've actually read this one already.
Experimentation stage. Stage there's where the experiment was set up. It's very high, isn't it? About 30 feet, I believe. Or 9 meters if you prefer. Craning your neck to see. It hurts after a while, doesn't it? 9 meters, you say? So that was this, right? 30 feet, 9 meters. Yes, we need to get up there and look around properly. Well, if I'm honest, climbing all those stairs makes my chest hurt. Oh dear, I think perhaps you should exercise more, Mr. Naruhodo. This? Well, the policeman isn't here now, obviously. The second lady just happened to be on the jury, though. I understood that London has a population of 6 million people, and yet you do seem to run into the same people disproportionately often, don't you? There's a stepladder there, look! Oh, yes. A stepladder. I think perhaps we should let the proprietor someone suss it out. The stepladder, I mean. Is something wrong? I feel as though we just managed to sidestep an argument. What am I missing, Glenn? So I can't look around here anymore, as far as I can tell. Crossbow? This. That's not it. No, that's not it either. What am I missing here? It doesn't have anything relevant to say with the bird cage somehow. right here. I don't think I'll have anything to say about the rest of this either, right? It's not looking like it. Oh, this is the same thing for showing them the picture. Okay. And that's never... That, like, never has any relevance. There's, like, one case where that's relevant. In the entire franchise. Or the entire Ace Attorney franchise. Oh, what the? I'm lost. Someone that doesn't make you feel so important, doesn't it? Would you like to have an office? Would you like to have an office like this, Mr. Dorado? It's such a grand desk. Me? No, I don't think so. Oh? Well, imagine if you suddenly found yourself needing the toilet. You'd have to go so far. How true. Perhaps the important people who work in ostentatious offices like this haven't considered such things. I wanted to do that as a compliment. I guess I didn't look around in here. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything really out of place. What am I supposed to do then? I can't. Because there's no one here. Because the only person I can talk to is Albert. I don't. Sometimes I do see this. I was actually hoping to trying to examine it. Yeah, I don't. I don't know. Let's see. Just one left. No business the prosecutors. Just come back later. Okay, it says we should spend more time investigating in the forensic laboratory. Oops. So that means I must have missed something here in the laboratory, right? just don't know what, because I can't go left or right. Oh, I didn't examine the book itself. Okay. That's annoying. Look at this big thick book here.
Ah, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigation team's spending, I think.
Oh? What is it?
It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but, well, monitoring seems rather strange.
Really? In what way?
They're finding 500 scalpels every month.
500? You must be working really hard on dissecting corpses.
I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances. And scalpel blades can be sharpened, too.
It does seem a bit strange. You're right. 500 scalpels a month. What could they possibly be using them all for?
What are you doing?
Ah! Sorry, we had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so...
So you thought you'd snoop around? That's unacceptable to you people from the East, isn't it? Well, what do you want?
Aw, cute snake! Lord Strongheart told us, you see, that it was you who examined the victim's body. Mr. Asmund's body, I mean.
So we came to ask you about your findings. On Lord Strongheart's advice. Very well. If the Lord Chief Justice has given his consent, I'll tell you what our investigation revealed. But when we're done, you must leave immediately. So you want to know what the forensic investigation team has determined? Determined from its examination of the scene? The victim, Mr. Odie Asmund, who disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion, and the Mr. Asmund who appeared moments later partway up the Crystal Tower, were without a question one and the same person. That is the team's conclusion.
But that can't be right.
If it was an elaborate trick, we can only speculate about how it was carried out. Let's see, if two people who looked very similar to each other were involved, they could have made it appear as if one single person had switched places, couldn't they?
They're gonna say that the problem is that there was no one that looked, not really anyone who looks like Odie, right?
Very true, but sadly in this instance, that was not the case. The man who disappeared and the man who subsequently reappeared was the same person. The fingerprints at the scene make that quite evident.
Fingerprints.
They're not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British justice system, but one day they were used as investigative aid, as a matter of course. Oh my, but that would mean the instantaneous kinesis actually took place. So, where does that leave us? My team was tasked with investigating, not drawing conclusions.
Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, yet the body did move from one place to the other. This hasn't cleared up anything at all. It's made the whole thing even more a mystery. Mama, what's this? Where did she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama?
This is a lawyer, dear.
Oh. Hello. To meet you. Pleased to meet you. Yes, I'm a defense lawyer. Ryunosuke no...
Mama.
Yes?
Can I get this one on?
What?
I've never seen inside an Eastern person before. I want to know what it's like. Of course you can't. It's a live specimen, as you can very well see. Boring.
Your daughter's a psychopath, madam. I think I just had a near-death experience.
Oh dear, Mr. Naruhodo, you're as pale as a corpse.
Well, let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber.
I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, do you think we ought to try and speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss, and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months.
Yeah, it's quite possible he might know something useful, you're right. We don't find him at Madame Tusswell's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary wet orchid exhibit. Also, sorry, I bumped something on my desk. I don't actually know what it was. I had my back turned to it.
Yes, Iris told me all about this his latest unusual venture.
23rd October, Madame Tusswell's Museum of Waxworks.
Here we are again at the House of Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't gotten used to the place yet. I'd still like to turn on my heels and go straight home and be at the confectionery, of course. But also, we have to fix the audio before we proceed.
Sato-san really is after something sweet today, isn't she?
What's the matter? Look, Mr. Naruhodo, look at that waxwork. I'm quite sure it wasn't there before. It looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes, down to the very last detail. Aha! What is it?
Oh, sorry. I think you'll find that's the temporary waxwork of himself.
Ah, the friend of my dedicated employee.
Oh, yes, Hogan, it's Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
I must say, I'm quite spellbound by the great secret detective. He's quite a marvel. The place was supposed to work is already back where it belongs.
You don't mean...
But yes, the mystery is so droid.
Wow, Mr. Sholmes really can engage his brain when he's hungry enough.
So as you can see, he has returned to his place. He's to his habitual duties.
Yes.
His habitual duties? Oh, do not disturb. Oh.
Poor Sato-san. She looks very perplexed. I don't see Tusswell anywhere around, so I guess we had to talk to Sholmes.
We really do need to speak with Mr. Sholmes, and I'm longing to say hello again. But where is he?
I think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually.
Oh! What do you...
Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I,
The world famous great detective in waxwork, Herlock Sholmes. Susato-san! Susato-san! My most humble apologies. I thought I died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment, via London. My dear madam, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty free deduction at some point. As long as it's not of questionable street food quality. I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes? Merely a secret identity, you understand. Though the case is largely solved now. Largely solved? We're talking about the waxwork convention, I presume. Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was easy as proverbial pie. Though I confess I'm yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise, or any food so far today, for that matter. That stomach rumble echoed around the whole museum. So how did you manage to solve it so quickly? Ah, well, I do remember I said that it was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone? Oh yes, it's a most modern invention, allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as yet. This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxwork was returned. It's amazing. Just between you and I, it would appear the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event. Oh, but I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no? Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive. But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary? I thought that you must keep from Madame Tussbells at all costs. Hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street after all. Poor Iris. Now then, do I sense that you have some business with this great waxwork? I'm in the process of trying to track somebody down. Oh? Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Trevor. He's a swindler who duped Professor Harebrained and the engineer who built the kinesis machine. A swindler and an engineer. Quite the modern man. He also seems to be a conjurer of sorts too, with considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. We have so few clues to go on. That's the trouble. Do you have any good ideas? I have no data yet. It is a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something of the man's appearance at least, I may be in a better position to help. Yes, Trevor's appearance. Fortunately for you, however, I presently have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach. As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I shall gladly give you my thoughts on it. Okay. Sure, we can show you a picture of him. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print? It's a Mr. Enoch Trevor. The face of the engineer we see. Well, all Englishmen look probably the same, of course. So looking at this photograph won't be particularly instructive. Are you alright, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, yes, forgive me. Very interesting, this. Very interesting indeed. What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You've turned quite pale all of a sudden. Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us? My dear Naruhodo, stay that piercing stare. What is this about? Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship, your words were very clear. So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. You told us that it was murder, and you examined Kazuma-sama's body.
Indeed, and wherein lies the problem? We met him earlier today, the victim, Kazuma Asoki.
You're quite sure? He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure it was Kazuma-sama. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead.
Well, I can only assume I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere at the moment. But the fellow wasn't dead at all. Priceless. I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruhodo? I can believe that the crewmen present at the time made a mistake, but not you, Mr. Sholmes. I will tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. Please, Mr. Sholmes. Tomorrow in court, you will find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that is all I can say. I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruhodo. Will you indulge me? Oh, well, what is it? As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned, and I personally reinstalled it in the exhibit from which it was taken, behind those thick curtains. Oh yes, the Professor exhibit, isn't it? The Professor is O.D. Asman, right? Would you like to see it? For a mere 5 shillings? That's a special one-time only price, you understand. What? The opportunity won't come again, I might add. Wouldn't you like to see the fruits of my labor?
Oh, well, we do have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone?
The price is very reasonable. A very reasonable 5 shillings. I think you'll find it's well worth it. Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes? Surely you need only look at my expression to ascertain if this is seriousness or silliness. I can never tell with you, that's the point.
Very well, it couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings.
Gratefully received. So the special exhibit awaits behind the curtain. I invite you to peruse it at your leisure.
Well, the money's been spent, so let's go and see the special exhibit.
And also get Sholmes in trouble when she finds out, or when Tussballs finds us looking. Through those heavy curtains at last. Songs we've had to pay. Doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Sholmes slipped the money to his own pocket, does it?
No. Ah, we can ask Gina to retrieve it for us using her special skills.
Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives. Is this what makes Britain great? Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands or nip-loving inspectors. Hey, stop slandering Van Zeeks.
Inspector Gregson comes off rather well in that list, I think.
23rd October, Madame Tuspel's special exhibit.
Oh dear, I felt a shiver run down my spine as soon as we walked in here.
Mr. Sato, I said we turn our heels and go straight home via a really big confectionery.
We certainly can't do that. We've already paid 5 shillings.
True. Actually, now I'm looking a little more closely. I get a good one to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of the great Dylan detective is far more terrifying than anything else in this place.
This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said the case was largely solved.
Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there'd be a clue about the engineering here, didn't he? Where? Since we paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation, shall we?
Yes, we will get what we paid for.
Is that fear or frustration that keeps making Sasato's voice tremble?
This part of the exhibit is just serving as the rest. That's so real.
Seems to be a young man in a white overcoat.
And he has a large shovel in his hand too. Look!
Let's just investigate in a little more detail. Wait, what? Huh? What? What? Are you serious? What? What? What's this here?
Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera.
A camera? But it's so small. This technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints?
I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. But anyway, why would the man in the graveyard be in a graveyard at night with a camera?
I wonder. Perhaps he was trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film.
We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think. By looking at the photographic plate inside the camera, we can see what picture was taken.
What's a photographic plate?
It's a piece of glass covered in a special emulsion that reacts to light coming through the lens. If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we should be able to find it. Or we should find it. Let's have a look.
And a wax duplicate? You should see for yourself, Sasato. Your eyes are shiny. You really do like machinery, don't you? Excuse me. Also, it really isn't gonna let us examine the eye. I can't see his face very well, can you?
Perhaps if I just... Oh, do you think you should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruto?
Put it back exactly as it was, don't worry.
Ah! What on earth? How can...
I don't believe it. A black monocle.
Mr. Naruto, is it possible that this man is...
Yes. It's Enoch Drebber.
The color of his hair is different, but
it's unmistakably him.
Indeed it is.
Indeed it is. Mr. Sholmes. This man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe. Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? And why does the convict behind him have no head? The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it. What a surprise. So the case isn't yet solved, is it? Did I not say so myself? Largely solved with my words, I believe. But I must locate the missing head tout de suite, as Madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. A very hungry iris still awaits
awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations. Ugh. Do you know, though, something about this room is strange? Strange? What do you mean? Well, the displays at the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, aren't they? Indeed they are, Mr. Zato. Do go on. And as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are believable, but this one... This surely couldn't ever really have happened, could it? I think it's time I educated you a little. About the nature of the incidents involving the professor 10 years ago. Resurrecting combat. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, everyone being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies. Oh gosh, an enormous hound? How awful! After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted. A closed court? Assuming that the professor's identity... As you surmise, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried at a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair. Oh! The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life. Came back to life? He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene as described. The exhibit here depicts that very scene as described by the sole witness to those chilling events. There was a witness? But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat. Enoch Drebber. He saw it happen? So this is a Wadsworth model of Enoch Drebber. 10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been convicted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old. It's so horrifying. Scared out of his wits, the young drummer ran to a nearby police station to report the incident. And the sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. Yes, it's shown in the photograph we have. His hair is completely white. For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on the front page of every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tussaud's. I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. What I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place. In a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night with a shovel. Yes, what was he up to? Grave robbing, clearly. The professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yes, I can imagine that the case must have had. But in time, of course, the rumors abated.
so too did talk of the shocking witness account of the convent who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, and as a preposterous parlor tale. But why did people stop believing it? Why, simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established in fact. What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution. No! But that would mean Mr. Trevor must have lied to the police and the newspapers. That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society, and nothing has been heard of him since. It's rather striking, then, that he should resurface now, don't you think? Of course, the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. But Trevor's hair is unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe that the incident was an out-and-out lie.
This must be the killer! The fiend known as the Professor!
Yes, I think so. According to what Madame Buswell said, he killed 5 victims, all of noble royal blood.
The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place.
No, it looks like it'll start moving at any moment, doesn't it? Going out ahead, that is. Let's just examine it in a little more detail.
So this is the condemned man.
Yes, the so-called professor.
Then perhaps his head was chopped off by a guillotine. But unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost.
Do we have to interchange that terrifying ideas, Mrs. Otto? Anyway, I'm sort of model had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see?
Then perhaps Mr. Schultz mentally forgot to reattach it?
That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it?
Or perhaps the thief absentmindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned it to the museum.
And that would be an extremely absent-minded thief. There had been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Oh, whatever the reason. It means we don't know what the face of this infamous professor looks like, do we? Oh. There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. Looks like a piece of broken glass. Quite a big piece, too.
It's very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than a normal window glazing, I'd say.
What's a thick glass piece come from, I wonder?
I suppose it must have been made thick to increase its strength?
But why?
Well, perhaps it's because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as in a big building, for example.
Ah, well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some of the glass is broken, too.
You don't mean...
Exactly. Crystal Tower at the Great Exhibition. I'm surprised they just said it outright.
But why would glass in the Crystal Tower be lodged in this waxwork's jacket?
Makes you think, doesn't it? Really importantly, sounds like your niece's experiment was a trick. This piece of glass is almost as thick as it is wide.
Yes, I've never seen anything like it.
Here to compare it to human, only Mr. Schultz has such thick skin.
There's really no need for such a comparison, Mr. Naruto. You know that.
Well. Anyway, it can only be from Crystal Tower, surely.
Yes, I think so too. It was probably made especially to meet the demands of that great structure.
report when we established that the kinesis experiment was a trick. Now we discovered this fragment of glass here in this waxwork. Is it just a coincidence?
What the breathing? No, Otto, what have you gone and done?
Gina, what are you doing here?
I asked Iris, and she said this is where you'd be, so... Gina, not so loud in the museum.
Madam, just was allowed to take a position as a what? Why would you take a position as a waxworker if you're not careful? And I think there might be a more pressing concern.
I still had some flash power left from 6 months ago, so... Alright, Gina, we understand, but please, put the gun down. Sorry, I got scared.
You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So what brings you here, Gina?
What brings me here? What do you think? We found it! We found it at Dodgy Co's workshop.
What? You found Trevor's workshop?
Yup! Toby's nose took me straight there. The boss and the others are hidden over that tray. Come on. Here's the address. I got the boss to write it out. Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once. Alright then. See ya! See ya!
You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still. What? I know my place. In the exhibit over there.
Oh dear, is someone feeling sorry for himself?
Let's go, Mr. Sholmes. You're coming. Your words harden me, I must say, but if I were to shirk my duties here, Madam would have me pay monetary recompense and Iris's dinner plate would be empty once more. Forget that, I'll pay for everything. Then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall have a carriage at once. I offer to share the cost from Mr. It's from Mr. Sholmes, then.
I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruto.
Thank you, Mrs. Zazer. Right, let's go. "23rd October. Not Trevor's workshop." There's just a second one of these here. What? That looks like...
Oh, it's not the super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
Indeed, it would appear so. Though only a prototype, naturally.
Ah, so you got it, eh? Gina, what did I find this place? Excuse me for yawning. In just a little time, you've really worked miracles. It's Dobby who's the miracle worker.
I thought your luck would show up before long.
Why are your eyes closed? Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. Guess it was eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips.
So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer?
Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here.
Oh, what a shame.
Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate.
Well, what Gina tells me, we only found this to clue you what turned up. Wanting more than I'll say, go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid. Oh, what it now, would I?
Thank you.
Anyway, if you're helping to snoop in here, I'd get cracking. What advances the forensic investigation team are here on their way here as we speak.
Them again.
I imagine you got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types.
Right. So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance.
And you, Sholmes.
Pardon?
I take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers.
Ha 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 ha! Very droll, Gregson. Very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model. Alright then, let's see what we can find in here. This is a European-style quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside. Oh, do you suppose?
Crossbow bolts, these. And just the right size for the bow you lot turned up at the exhibition ground.
In other words...
Yep, that's more evidence to support your theory. It all goes to show that Trevor was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam.
Details of the crossbow updated in the court record. Nice. Oh, there's the up is probably just the top of the machine, right?
Science should know how to machines covered by the special dispensation for scientific format. There would be serious repercussions if you were to examine it from the Crown and the government.
Well, those two don't seem to be holding back. It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow.
No, it's shiny stuff on the floor and nothing. Not even a bone for Toby. Yeah, my dear fellow. British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they?
I think that's just these two, Mrs. Otto. Okay, I was trying to examine the bots with the hammer, so I don't know why it overlapped into that. Ah, this appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, what you say. It's an impressive looking bat massager, that's for sure. No doubt that if you get your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away. Do you not know what a trophy is, Rinosuke? That's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor. Ah. Would you like a massage? No, I'm fine, thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing.
I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks.
I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Mr. Nora? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course. He's not going to let that go, is he?
It's curious though, isn't it? But it's not such an important trophy that you probably on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. This gentleman can be quite a mystery at times.
Science trophy added to the court record. What on earth is this?
An aeroplane, Mr. Naruto. One day, scientists believe humans to fly freely in the skies.
Is that how the trick will be described, is it?
Sorry?
Well, it's actually suspended by a thin but very strong cable, isn't it?
Oh, well, this is model is, yes, but a real aeroplane would actually fly high in the sky.
Well, suspended from somewhere even higher in the sky, of course. Because large metal objects obviously only can't really stay in midair unsupported.
So to you, the solution is ever taller towers?
This door doesn't want to open.
Yeah, looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it.
There's a specialist locksmith on his way over from the yacht, so hands off till he gets here.
With permission, Inspector. I could have it lock open in less than a minute.
Well, you don't have permission, and no one's given it to you.
Crescent looks as though you really enjoyed that.
Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side.
No, Trevor must have fled at the first sign of danger.
Oh!
Something wrong, Mrs. Otto?
Well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too? Yeah, I know. What do you reckon, Toby?
Right, mind the grease. Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard.
Oh my, someone is in there!
They just fled through a secret exit.
Ah, this one bleeding lock.
My dear Grayson, as I said only minutes ago. If only it were confidence, I could unlock that door in less than a minute.
Fine, I'll take the rap for it. Just get us through that blasted door.
There, you may enter it clearly. You confuse minutes with seconds, I think. Time is of the essence, I think. What are we waiting for?
Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency.
There's a strong possibility that beyond that door is the engineer you all see. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow. Yes. What's happened in here? Why is everything upside down? What? There's no one in here after all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises. It was the sound of Trevor running away. But there's only one door into this room. And no windows that could afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high. What's that up there? The footprints on the ceiling?
Blow me. Hey, what if we hear then? Looks like someone's trying to burn something in a hurry.
Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints.
To what?
That Professor Harebrind's bombing machine, is it? Blind me if we had these. There's no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal.
That's something of great interest here, too. We're just ignoring the bomb in the middle of the room. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. Rope? What's significant about that? Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo. We must investigate this entire room thoroughly, and before the forensic investigation can arrive here too. Alright. It's 39, because they're footprints. Yes, it would appear so. And I simply can't imagine how they came to be there. Isn't there a Susato shoot-up or something? Like a Susato takedown, I mean? I'm no Wonder Woman, Mr. Naruhodo. That would make her almost superhuman, I suppose. It's a really lovely model. It just looks like a real... it looks just like a real flying balloon. I think it's probably staying aloft by the same principle as a full-size balloon using gas. A green flying balloon. It does have the hallmarks of that amazing deception with the Great Exhibition, doesn't it? Could it be? The whole thing was planned here in this very workshop? It's a very large safe. I don't suppose even Mr. Sholmes could open that one. Although if you were a thief, you could probably just steal the entire thing, I suppose. It's bolted to the floor to prevent exactly that sort of underhanded trick, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, then you could just steal the floor as well, I suppose. I'm sorry, but you really aren't making any sense at all. Anyway, I think we can agree that whatever's inside must be very important. Alright, well, oh, hold on, there's more stuff to examine here. Most every piece of furniture is upside down. Mr. Sholmes' suite isn't ever in this much of a mess. You're in no position to comment on mess, Mr. Naruhodo. I suppose it's not quite the same thing, is it? I mean, it's not messy in here per se, it's that everything is literally upside down. But why? Well, alright, let's examine the bomb, I guess. Mr. Jones, something? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, in point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. It's like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped in a large watch to me, but ah! Ah! Mr. Sato, what's the matter?
That's a... Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it?
What did you say?
Time bomb?
Sorry, but what is a time bomb exactly? You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, I won't take that as a compliment. You don't know nothing, do you? Although, I haven't got a clue what it is either, or have you, Gina? I might need to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance.
Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it?
I see, so that's it.
Goodness, Mr. Jones, have you seen the heart of the matter?
At times when I consider my lot most unfair, for I'm fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I have learnt to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Mr. Sato. Here we go, I feel a great deduction coming. Oh, great. It's 3 a.m. Once again, I can draw two conclusions of the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Drower himself.
Oh, but how could you?
And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is, without a question, completely genuine.
Mr. Jones, please, you must explain everything.
It's not a real time bomb, he just said that! Also, it would have exploded by now, probably. It would be a great pleasure. After all, it's a great detective's civic duty to make Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Well, Inspector Gretzen's just delighted with the idea anyway. Ha 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 ha!
Oh, you deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Jones. Well done.
You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand there, just there, Mr. Sato.
Oh yes, I'd be delighted.
So, shall we begin? Once again, Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasons being spectacular. The great deduction. The game is afoot. Foot furniture. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table, the chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if everyone in the room had until recently been happily positioned onto the ceiling before falling straight down onto the floor. Everything in the room is on the ceiling? Are you suggesting that... Indeed, the key here is gravity. I know that technology has at last succeeded to bring us from the great pull of the earth. But the gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness! The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Mr. Sato. I, too, was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device almost identical to the one featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact.
But then why does it have a clock on it?
Most relevant question indeed. That is the timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. There was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. And the commotion we heard from earlier on the other side of the door was the moment that restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. You see, we need look no further than to explain the state in which we found this room. The rate in which gravity acts here was reversed by Mr. Trevor before it was restored to normality in an automatic fashion some time later by the timer device. I witnessed this precise scene in a dream I once had when I once fell out of bed. Because gravity was reversed. Now let's consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads.
Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling?
A question whose answer will neatly lead us to the truth, my dear man. The reason those footprints are on the ceiling are because of the nearby skylight. Of course, Mr. Trevor's aim was singular, to escape. However, there's but one way into this room, excepting the skylight, that is.
Ah.
By burning the gravity in here, Mr. Trevor was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the wall.
But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Trevor fall to the ceiling rather violently?
Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I see. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run. So escape to the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution.
Oh, the rope!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool to use than this rope? By hammering one into the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Which explains how Trevor was able to escape this room before our arrival. Reverse the pull of gravity and led via the skylight. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun. Thus conclude Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. She's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there's just one thing that troubles me. I expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. The thing is such a thing actually possible? The anti-gravity device, I mean. I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century, it's no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. We hold deduction hinges on it. Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth, however improbable it may seem. It's a marvelous sign, wouldn't you agree? My more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Miss Sasaki
Objections!
Actually, there is one other thing, Miss Sholmes.
The spell's broken at last.
The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it?
Indeed it was. It only coils near the wall.
But if Mr. Drummer used it to escape the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied up to the wall?
Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find the ropes. As evidence of such, you know, look at the mystery faced in this room, now skillfully unraveled. That argument is as circular as the coils of the rope.
I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, does a great deduction will lead us to the truth.
Yeah, you're right. I must do it quickly before Drebber gets too far away. If you're ready then, let us resume. Pilot Sholmes' logic and reasoning is spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Plain to see, room is in complete disarray. Drop a quick little manual save here. The bed, the table, the chairs, there's the lamp, everything is upside down. I was as if everyone in the room until recently I hadn't been able to position on the ceiling before falling straight down onto the floor. I forget how in the room was on the ceiling, or are you suggesting that... Indeed, the key here is gravity. I fear that technology is at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of Earth. The gravity in this room is reversed and suddenly restored to normality. Goodness! The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about this, the part gravity played. To think gravity could be reversed in this very room, I find the whole idea absolutely enthralling. How Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation. The man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so... Yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once. Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Mr. Zato. We've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he? Ah, denied us! While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices.
Yes, I suppose so.
Let's see if examining the saucer we've seen a little more closely reveals some more proof that is exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing.
Take that!
The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part that gravity played in this whole business. Well, my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to arrest your assistant here, perhaps? No one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Jones, trust me. As you rightly say, though, it appears at first glance that all the furniture in the room is upside down. This unassuming slender vase standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large saint, there's nothing affixing it to the floor. It's the exception that breaks the rule. It's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, as much as it pains me. The gravity in this room was never inverted at all. My deepest sympathies for your loss.
Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes.
But the show must go on, so let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this, contrivance is in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains one other possibility. You don't say. There remains one other possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here. Which might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Anyway, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite, and naturally there's an explanation. Yes, the reason everything's been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he?
I'm afraid the Laura, an exciting scientific explanation is too strong.
Oh, there's no doubt somebody did this. Somebody turned all this furniture over, so whoever it was must have had a reason.
I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though.
Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. Oh.
Take that!
Yeah, Yes, the reason why everything here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination. Precisely. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yes. Last year, when I bought a lottery ticket, I noted the ticket number down on the inside of a cover of a book, just in case. That's it. For people of forgetful souls at heart, and always mistake a written note of important, make a written note of important information.
Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think.
I've lost tickets to, like, raffles and stuff by just, like, putting it in my pocket, then taking my wallet out of my pocket to buy something at, like, a convenience store. And then, like, went back for the raffle a couple hours later, and just the ticket was gone. And what happened? And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Hardar? The day of the draw came around. I'd forgotten which book I'd written the number in, and I had to turn my room upside down to find it. That's it. Some people are forgetful souls at heart, and always forget when they've noted things down. Why do you always note things down in the same place? That's why I won the second prize, you know. I can't remember which magazine I slipped the ticket into, so I had to turn my room upside down. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe you've proved my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario is clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room knew the combination code. He remembered that he'd written on the other side of his furniture, but forgot which one, leading to the state, and what leading to the state in which we now find the room. I guess Mr. Deborah overturned all the furniture in here in a desperate hurry to look at the combination of the code that would unlock the safe. Find the safe combination. Now let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer's friend's aim? Inevitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear man. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Well, a change in the direction of gravity can explain it, but how did those footprints get there? Yeah, I feel as though that particular mystery has just gotten even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Schultz and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Schultz is what gets us into these situations in the first place. It's the balloon, my guy. Dude, what?
Take that!
Being able to fly freely in the sky, that has to be the main constraint. Okay, this is... We'll just take the penalty here. It's clearly too small. Okay. We're taking the penalty on this one because I haven't saved and I don't feel like going through this entire deduction again. Approach it from a different angle.
Take that!
The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby chute. On closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. Well, our aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon.
But for what purpose?
A green balloon? That seems somewhat familiar data. Ah!
It was a piece of a green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo found, and Iris found at the scene.
Inside the green balloon that Master Gotts claims he saw above this date when the incident occurred was the second bird case, the crux of the whole instantaneous deception.
You mean to say...
If we assume the balloon in here is a model of the one used on the date, there's a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it. So our abductor was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach. That's why he resorted to a projectile, namely the chute. Ah, most probably Jabber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with the chute. However, his efforts were thwarted when the chute itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights.
Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was someone we could see inside.
You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution.
Oh, the rope!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool to use than this rope?
Mr. Schultz has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope.
Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. We just throw the rope up to the balloon and then pull it down to us on the ground?
It's much easier said than done, I feel. It could take us a very long time as well.
True, perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we?
Take that!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool to use than this crossbow?
I was found at the scene, in fact.
In all likelihood, it belongs to Mr. Drebber. If the man had only brought it away with him on that day, he could have avoided losing his shoe at such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? What the? A waxwork? Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that's tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock. So you can't see the face inside. That means...
Just a moment. This is the head of a waxwork model? Does that mean... Oh goodness!
I see you've joined the dots, Mr. Zato. Excellent.
Ah, of course. A headless waxwork model.
The case of the abducted Madame Tuspel's model that you've largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Tuspel's went out to settle a sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor. Yes.
But why is it in here?
This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tuspel's and returning it his son's tip earlier today was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Harebrain's case in the waxwork abduction are inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. Waxwork head entered into the courtroom. Our court record. Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. Are you sure we can't look at it? This slot does look very strong, doesn't it? There's definitely no way you could remove the mask yourself and put what's put on you.
What a terrible way to treat someone, even a convicted criminal.
I know, it's starting to make me livid, actually.
Mr. Naruto, please.
I mean, just think about it. While we deal with the audio being worked. Imagine if you had an itch on your cheek all of a sudden. You'd be utterly helpless.
Well, yes, that's true. I'm not sure that warrants quite so much anger.
Oh, right. Sorry.
All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure. The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber? It seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights. Obviously, the man must still be here in the room. What? And his logical location should be abundantly clear. You can simply reflect on the journey we made together during this deduction. Drebber is right here, somewhere in this room. So, Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors? Yes, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the... Oh, I can't actually save at this point. Oh, that mess in front of the safe. Yes, plans and accounting ledgers? Looks like somebody was in a hurry to into the contents of the safe, in fact. You need to hide. There's no better place than a wardrobe. I stand firmly by that. Ah, yes, you had some experience with that yourself a year ago, didn't you? We'll find him in there, mark my words. So we curled up in a ball, trembling and hungry. In fact, my own hand is trembling just thinking about making the discovery. Never mind, Mr. Naruhodo, I could be hiding somewhere else, you know. I mean, I think it's in the safe.
Take that!
Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here. This tells us that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe. And pressed for time, he made order to write the furniture that he overturned in the process, from which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. Inside the safe. Solved. Deduction complete. Elementary. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide and seek, don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination was 1 4 3 2 5 8 2. I knew that. Alright then, here goes. So do I have to actually put the combination in? You found me. Right then, sir. Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume. Correct. You better start talking. You shit Professor Harebrained with that bogus machine you built. And you still have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Tussbells as well. Yes, I would be delighted to answer your many questions. Personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate? Your parcel? Ever, of course. To the time bomb. I left in a most prominent position. Ah! Ha 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 ha. See, I see. Stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me then? No! Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare. That was too close for comfort. Got one foot in the grave already.
You trying to help us get a killer or get us killed?
Mr. Sholmes' detectives can be completely life-altering, can't they? Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say. Anti-gravity devices don't exist! Phew, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. Alright, talk. What happened here? What happened in here? You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems.
Yeah, well, we've been given a thorough going of it. Don't you worry, Trevor.
What feels clicked with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting. I heard whistling from the other. I heard whistling from the. I knew the reminder was trying to bolt. Whistling? Ah, that would have been me. Oh! For some reason, I'm working a fine fettle today. The worst, slightly squeezed chips. Clearly, I must have the screw loose though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one, this is couldn't remember which piece of furniture I had written it down. I also found a rope over the wall. Yes, I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly the rope was too short. So I then set about searching for the combination code to open the safe. And burning with the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after you hid yourself in the safe, I was first set this parcel ticking. Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police.
Got a death wish, hiding right beside a ticking time bomb.
Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe, it's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it. So, in fact, the safe was the only safe place. Precisely. Well, once you climb inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within. Ah, so it is. Unlike my audio, which is apparently designed to break it every 5 minutes. And stay broken throughout multiple resets for some reason. I had always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. I just wasn't expecting another guest to come along and screw up my plans.
Do you mean to say you are planning to blow us all up?
No, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. Ah, I calculated the time required to retreat from a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But you'll see me leaving this discourse in here through a spanner in the works. There's something wrong, great son. What has on my face, besides the usual eyes, ears, nose, and mouth? I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on here now. What about the 2 incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Hervey's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition, and the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to. That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the professor. clad in a mask with a lock so strong I'm unable to open it to safely reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around as protection. After all, that's enough! What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here.
Yes, well,
Dr. C, again. So the forensic investigation team are here. And you know full well that this engineer is a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew of this, he'd be finished. You lot, leave at once. My dear madam, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that's no way to greet an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. C? Hello, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. C? If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sour expression on their face, you're quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell, you... Get out! But of course, we'll show ourselves the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Naruhodo, yes? It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But Mr. Sholmes, let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. I said get out, now, all of you. Your presence here is not required either, Gregson.
understood. I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place, and the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb set in here that this lot disarmed. Inspector. Something giving you a chuckle, has it, Trevor?
Ah, so sorry. I didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one. Eh? What are you? That one? Yeah, you mean... It was an hour later that we heard the news. The enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage on the at the Great Exhibition. Professor Harebrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever. To be continued. That's going to be the end of stream as well, because it has been 3 hours and 40 minutes almost. We will continue this, I guess, tomorrow. Maybe I will let you know if any changes via via Twitter. All things considered. So yeah, I will see you all in the next stream, and I apologize for the future sporadicness of streams. All right, see you all next time. Later.